the Tang Dynasty, a name that resonates as one of the most glorious eras in Chinese history. Its territory was vast, its prestige unmatched. Chang'an, the imperial capital, was hailed as a miracle of the East by merchants from Arabia, Persia, Tibet, and Sogdia. Poets like Li Bai and Du Fu sat side by side as swirling Hu dances. The music of pipa and gilded Buddhist pagodas painted a vivid portrait of an open, prosperous, and culturally radiant age. But the cracks beneath this golden age began to spread in the year 755. Hello, I'm Justin. Welcome to A Complete History of China. This is Season 1, Episode 2. The Twilight Before the Song. Part 1. The Collapse of the Tang Empire. In our previous episode, we walked through the capital city of the northern Song, Bianjing. We experienced the daily life of the Song people, filled with urban prosperity and refined governance, and we witnessed how such a splendid city could vanish overnight in the flames of war. It reminds us, creating a beautiful way of life is important, but learning how to protect it is just as vital. This is one of the oldest and most enduring questions in human politics. In this episode, we turn our gaze back to the dark eve before the Song, to witness the collapse of the Tang Empire and the fractured world it left behind. From the fall of Tang to the rise of Song, 53 years of chaos stretched in between, the end of an old era, the brewing of something new. A time of disorder, a China in transformation. How did it rise from the fire and plant the seeds for the birth of the Song dynasty? In the year 755, the An Lushan Rebellion erupted. An Lushan, commander of the three powerful frontier commands of Fanyang, Heidong, and Pinglu, held over 100,000 elite troops under his banner. In the 11th month of the 14th year of the Tianbao era, An Lushan, along with his general Shi Siming, rose in rebellion from Fanyang. Marching under the banner of purging the emperor's court of traitors, his forces surged southward, heading straight for the eastern capital, Luoyang. Emperor Xuanzong, who had once placed complete trust in An Lushan, refused at first to believe he could betray the throne. Only when Governor Yan Zhenqing of Pingyuan sent undeniable evidence did the emperor awaken from his illusions, realizing the crisis was already beyond control. An Lushan's cavalry swept forward like a tidal wave and soon captured Luoyang. In the first month of 756, An Lushan proclaimed himself emperor in Luoyang, founding the great Yan Dynasty, adopting the reign title Shengwu, and declaring himself the mighty martial emperor. In panic and fury, Emperor Xuanzong made a disastrous decision. He executed two seasoned generals, Feng Changqing and Gao Xianji, merely for advocating a defensive stance at Tong Pass. Their unjust deaths shocked the court and shattered morale among the troops. He then ordered Geishu Han to march east from Tong Pass and take the initiative to engage the rebel forces. As feared, the Tang army suffered a catastrophic defeat at Tong Pass. Its main forces were lost, and the Yan troops advanced without resistance. The capital, Chang'an, now stood perilously exposed. Emperor Xuanzong fled in haste, his entourage scattered and weary. At Mawei Slope, mutiny erupted. The soldiers slaughtered Chancellor Yang Guozhong, then turned on the emperor's beloved consort, Yang Yuhuan, cousin to Yang Guozhong, demanding her execution to forestall revenge. Under duress, Xuanzong had no choice. He ordered the eunuch Gao Lishi to strangle Lady Yang beneath a pear tree before the Buddha Hall. Only then was the army appeased. This tragic incident would be remembered as the Mawei Mutiny. It was a moment of profound sorrow. Yang Yuhuan, one of the legendary Four Beauties of China, was renowned for her grace, talents, and literary refinement. Yet she became a sacrifice to failed leadership and political chaos. The poet Bai Juyi, moved by her fate, immortalized her in The Song of Everlasting Sorrow. A lament echoed across the centuries. After the incident, Emperor Xuanzong and Crown Prince Li Heng went their separate ways. Xuanzong continued his flight southward into Shu, while the prince turned north toward Lingwu, determined to rally the remnants of the Imperial army and restore the Tang forces. Soon after, the leaderless capital of Chang'an fell. The city was ravaged, its people displaced, and the imperial palaces reduced to ashes. A mighty dynasty's heart collapsed in a single night. In 756, Li Heng declared himself emperor in Lingwu, posthumously known as Emperor Suzong, while still honoring his father Xuanzong as retired emperor. Over the next several years, the Tang court, with the help of regional military governors, launched a hard-fought counteroffensive. Meanwhile, the rebel leadership descended into infighting and betrayal. By the year 763, the An Lushan Rebellion was finally quelled. The war had raged for 8 years. Tens of millions perished. It remains one of the bloodiest civil conflicts in Chinese history. From this moment on, the Tang Dynasty would decline. The brilliance of High Tang would never return. Although the Tang Dynasty appeared to return to peace after the An Lushan Rebellion, in reality, it was already riddled with internal decay. The central court relied on eunuchs, imperial in-laws, and regional military governors to balance power. The fiscal system was chaotic, taxes were heavy, and the people suffered immensely. Scholars and intellectuals held ideals for reform, but they were powerless to change this fractured empire. In 874 CE, a great famine struck the region of Shandong. A salt merchant's son named Huang Chao, who had repeatedly failed the imperial exams, rose in anger. He rallied hundreds of thousands of starving peasants and became their leader. Like a swarm of locusts, Huang Chao's forces swept across the land, reaching the central plains. Cities fell one after another. In 881 CE, Huang Chao captured Chang'an and declared himself emperor of the new state of Qi. Yet, this peasant army brought no salvation. Instead, due to its lack of discipline, it plunged Chang'an into even greater ruin. Buddhist temples were burned, statues and scriptures reduced to ash. The wealthy were looted, and scholars and monks fled south. Chang'an, once admired by the world, had once again become a living hell. In the end, it was not the Imperial army, but warlords like Zhu Wen and Li Qiang who were called upon to suppress the rebellion. In the year 884, Huang Chao was finally defeated and took his own life. A decade-long rebellion came to its bloody end. That same July, Emperor Shizong held a ceremony of surrender at the Grand Pavilion in Chang'an. The military governor Shu Pu presented the severed head of Huang Chao, along with 30 of his captured concubines. The emperor turned to the women and asked, "You are all daughters of noble families, raised with the blessings of the empire. Why did you follow the rebel?" The leading woman stepped forward and calmly replied, "When traitors ravaged the land and the court sent 1,000,000 troops, yet abandoned the ancestral altars and fled to Sichuan, how can you now blame us women? Where were your ministers and generals?" The emperor fell silent. Shamed, he ordered all the women to be executed in public. Before their deaths, the executioners took pity and offered them wine to dull the pain. Most wept and died in drunken sorrow. Only the leading woman remained composed. She neither cried nor drank. She walked calmly to her death. No one knows her name, but her words would echo as one of the most searing final laments of a dying dynasty. Meanwhile, warlords like Zhu Wen and Li Qiang, who had helped suppress the rebellion, now commanded massive armies of their own. The Tang court had become a hollow shell, its authority spent, its days numbered. To many historians, the Tang Dynasty, by this time, was merely a broken body, barely clinging to life, waiting for the final blow. We've passed the halfway mark. Thanks for being here. Your support keeps me going. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell. It truly makes a difference. In the year 884, at Shangyuan relay station in Bianzhou, a grand banquet was underway. Much like the infamous feast at Hongmen during the Qin and Han dynasties, this late Tang banquet would once again alter the course of Chinese history. The guests of honor, Zhu Wen, military governor of Xuanwu, and Li Qiang, military governor of Hedong. Zhu Wen lost his father at a young age and grew up a delinquent, idle and unruly. In 877, he joined Huang Chao's rebel army and quickly rose through the ranks due to his military exploits. Yet he soon recognized the doomed fate of Huang's rebellion and decisively surrendered to the Tang court. Known for his harsh discipline, Zhu Wen became a key force in suppressing the uprising. He was appointed as the military governor of Xuanwu, taking control of Bianzhou and the Henan region, forming a powerful military bloc. Li Qiang, a Shatuo Turk, was a fearless and formidable warrior. He was blind in one eye, earning him the nickname One-Eyed Dragon. In the campaign against Huang Chao, Li Qiang also rose to prominence. Centered around Taiyuan, he built the powerful Hedong military bloc. The two warlords joined forces in the final battle against Huang Chao and achieved a sweeping victory. To celebrate, Zhu Wen held an elaborate banquet in honor of Li Qiang. Young and brash, Li Qiang's remarks at the banquet were laced with arrogance. Though Zhu Wen concealed his fury, he was seething inside. What appeared to be a cordial celebration was, in truth, a trap laden with malice. That night, as Li Qiang stayed at the Shangyuan relay station, danger loomed, unbeknownst to him. Zhu Wen's troops had secretly surrounded the compound, awaiting the right moment to strike. As night fell, they unleashed fire and arrows. All 300 of Li Qiang's elite guards were slaughtered. With death closing in, a thunderstorm broke out, drenching the flames and blunting the attack. Under the desperate protection of a few loyal followers, Li Qiang managed a narrow escape. This dramatic event would go down in history as the incident at Shangyuan relay station. Former comrades in arms became sworn enemies, and thus began the bitter rivalry between two military powers, one that would define the political landscape of the Five Dynasties period. Compared to Li Qiong, known for his legendary loyalty and respect among the scholar officials, Zhu Wen, ruthless and cunning, seized the path to supreme power ahead of all others. Though the Tang Dynasty was already on its last breath, the power struggles within the imperial court grew increasingly fierce. In the year 901, the eunuch Han Kuan-hui launched a coup and placed Emperor Zhaozong under house arrest inside the palace. Unable to save himself, Chancellor Cui Yin secretly summoned Zhu Wen to rescue the emperor. Zhu Wen was overjoyed. His moment had finally arrived. He marshaled his troops and marched straight toward Chang'an. Han Kuan-hui, in panic, fled the capital with Emperor Zhaozong and sought refuge in Fengxiang under the protection of the military governor Li Maozhen. Zhu Wen laid siege to Fengxiang. The city, cut off from supplies, was soon starving and desperate. By 903, realizing he was no match, Li Maozhen executed over 70 eunuchs, including Han Kuan-hui, and sued for peace. He personally handed the emperor back to Zhu Wen, allowing the imperial court to return to Chang'an. Zhu Wen seized the momentum and began a purge. He executed hundreds of eunuchs in one sweep, abolished the elite Shen's army, and took full control of the imperial authority. In 904, Zhu Wen killed Chancellor Cui Yin, then forcibly relocated Emperor Zhaozong to Luoyang, aiming to sever the capital's ties with the old aristocracy and religious clans of Chang'an. Not long after, he ordered the emperor's assassination and installed the 13-year-old Prince Li Zuo as a puppet ruler, known in history as Emperor Ai of Tang. From that point on, all power belonged to Zhu Wen. Emperor Ai was no more than his marionette. In 905, Zhu Wen further consolidated power. He ordered the execution of all 9 brothers of Emperor Ai, extinguishing any hope of dynastic restoration. He then carried out a political massacre at Baima Post Station, where over 30 high-ranking officials, including Pei Shu and Cui Yuan, were killed and their bodies dumped in the river, an event remembered as the Baima Massacre. Finally, in 907, Zhu Wen forced the 16-year-old Emperor Ai to abdicate. He declared himself emperor, founding the state of later Liang, the first regime of the Five Dynasties era in northern China. Thus ended the nearly 300-year reign of the Tang Dynasty. Yet the later Liang established by Zhu Wen was not a flourishing new empire, but a regime built on fear and suspicion. In his later years, Zhu Wen became increasingly paranoid and cruel, slaughtering even his own meritorious officials. He killed his eldest son, Zhu Yulun, and second son, Zhu Yuren, with his own hands. Eventually, in 912, he was assassinated in a palace coup led by his third son, Zhu Yugui. From that moment on, the North plunged into an endless cycle of power struggles and bloodshed. The 53-year chaos of the Five Dynasties had officially begun. The tragedy at Baima Relay Station was not just a brutal political purge, it symbolized the total collapse of the civil bureaucracy at the twilight of the Tang Dynasty. Figures like Pei Shu and Cui Wen came from noble aristocratic families. They embodied the institutional legacy and cultural continuity of the great Tang Empire. Their gruesome deaths did not merely extinguish any hope of a Tang revival. They marked the end of an aristocratic political tradition that had endured since the Wei and Jin dynasties. With this massacre, Zhu Wen secured absolute control over the imperial court, but in doing so, he laid the foundation for a new regime, one born of suspicion and violence. Lacking any Confucian civil foundation, the later Liang was doomed to instability. From this moment on, history veered into a darker path. The decline of the aristocracy, the collapse of ritual and music, and the rise of a militarized politics where power became a prize fought over by generals. But was the legacy of the Tang truly lost to the ashes of history? Hello everyone, I'm Justin. Thank you for watching episode 2 of A Complete History of China. In the next episode, we'll follow the northern campaigns to restore the Tang and the southern kingdoms that kept the flame of civilization alive, laying the groundwork for a new order.
唯有世事难